speed will be the name of the game as the Porsche Owners Club races towards the conclusion of season number 2. Get ready for a roller coaster ride as the club visits the virtual Virginia International Raceway. Glad to have you along for the ride live tonight on the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Devin Henry alongside Peter McKay in the booth. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak pushing all the buttons using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, before we get racing here at VIR, let's take a closer look at the track with our GSRC lap guide.
Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. This track near the southern border of its namesake has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. With 2 decades of use in its modern incarnation and still drawing regular visits from IMSA and Trans Am, it's safe to say that VIR is back and thriving. The owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 7 versions are available to run on iRacing, with viewing areas that include posh villas near South Bend that can be rented by fans. The track's long and complex layout has earned it some colorful corner names too. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, fast cars lacking downforce are sent through the terrifying climbing S's and spit out of the steep drop of South Bend. Of course, there's perhaps the most famous turn of Oak Tree, which has sadly lost its eponymous flora in real life, but is retained here in the virtual world. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery in order to get the most out of a lap. As you'd expect, the high number of corners makes passing rather difficult. Add in the fact that many of them are dangerously swift, and track position can wind up being a major factor in races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life.
Such a fun track, really engulfed in history. You have a ginormous elevation change. You have a straightaway as long as some NASCAR tracks. Peter, take us through a little bit more of what we have here at Virginia International Raceway.
Well, Devin, I have to say I am very excited indeed today because VIR for me is one of the finest motor racing facilities anywhere on earth. Opened in 1957 when 2 local successful dairy farmers, the Strickland brothers, drove around their land in their Mercedes 300 SL, throwing sandbags out the window to map out what they thought would make a good racetrack. And well, their intuition certainly worked, because this track has been revamped and revitalized in the year 2000 by Connie Nineholm and Harvey Siegel. And what they came up with, well, as I say, one of the most beautiful facilities you're ever likely to go motor racing on. And of course, Porsche. Today we're going to go, it's all about Porsche, and well, like they do at many tracks, Porsche have an incredible heritage here at the Virginia International Raceway.
Just over 3 miles, 17 corners that these guys are going to have to navigate here. We'll get things rolling in just a little bit as these guys continue to throw in qualifying laps. But of course, we have to give thank yous to those who help us put this series on. That includes Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretired.com. And maybe you might just be interested in advertising with GSRC. We have over 1 million monthly global impressions, and they are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Be sure to follow the link in the description below on YouTube or visit globalsimracingchannel.com/advertising just to learn more. Just going to the website doesn't mean that you have to pay money. Just go check it out, guys. But one thing I want to check out here, Peter, is this championship, because we are starting to get down to the wire, and in GT3, I almost feel like things are closing up. You have Teddy Framheim up front. He's got 3 wins. Gregory LaFougue has another 2 wins. But Nielsen Lawrence is sticking around in this title hunt right now, winless so far this season.
Yeah, Teddy Framheim has really gone on a bit of a tear in the last couple of rounds, being able to convert his incredible qualifying performance into race victories, and he leads the point standings by 10 points from Gregory Lefug. Nielsen Lawrence not far away, 19 points back with Connor Bloom. He's in touch too with Bayan Salehi in 5th.
And then taking a look at the GT4 points, I mean, Jacob Abrams got back to victory lane 2 weeks ago, and of course, I mean, what else do you expect trying to run away in the points right now? But Paul Noon, BJ Fulton, still an interesting battle for second and beyond.
It certainly is, yeah, absolutely. Every time we see these GT4 drivers, it is really a tight battle. And yeah, Jacob Abrams, he's just been the guy who's delivered come the race. But here at VIR, well, it's a completely new challenge. Of course, plenty of runoff. However, all that runoff is grass, and it kind of feels like you're driving on ice. So if you do just step over the mark, you will pay really quite heavily for that crime. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating as once we get out on track here at Virginia International Raceway.
And with all these hills and all these straightaways, it's going to be a little difficult keeping up with every single driver on the track, but you certainly can even by yourself. You can go to gsrc.tv for live timing and scoring, just like we have up here in the booth. Go ahead, check that out. Follow your favorite drivers as they race here at VIR. Well, a little bit deeper, Peter. Of course, we got 2 classes running today. We're coming down to the final stretch. It's been a fun season so far.
Certainly has. Proper multi-class sports car racing. We have our top runners in the 911 GT3 Cup cars, a very tricky machine to master. Very much a typical Porsche. It's got the engine right in the back of the car, nearly 500 horsepower, no traction control and no ABS, so requires some real finesse to master that car. The 718 GT4 class, a little bit different, a little bit friendlier, does have a traction control system and anti-lock braking as well, and that beautiful typical Porsche Cayman mid-engine balance. It's a real gem of a car, and around this VIR circuit you can really get it wound up as well. We're also going to see our drivers get a full 30 minutes, plenty of time to get out there and set their qualifying times. They'll all be out on track together. There's no solo qualifying here, so drivers need to make sure that they get plenty of space, but there's plenty of it to roam here at VIR. And once we've got our grid set, we will be going for a 30-minute race. Also, some regular viewers of races here on the Global Sim Racing Channel might have seen some broadcasts where all the drivers are given exactly the same setup for their car. That is not the case here, so the drivers have got to put in the time to get that setup optimized, and particularly for their GT3 runners, that is a vital aspect of getting to the front of the pack. So as our drivers going out for qualifying now, we just have 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go of this session. We will be good to go for our race here at VIR. Looking at Jacob Abrams on track right now in the number 728 machine, going around Oak Tree, and very much experts of the VIR circuit will say, wait a minute, that tree blew down a couple of years ago. Well, this is actually a slightly older laser scan of the Virginia International Raceway, so it still has the beautiful famous Oak Tree turn there. There is also a very, shall we say, out-of-date advertising hoarding as well on the bridge, and I'll see if the eagle-eyed amongst you can spot that. And what it says on it certainly shows how out-of-date it actually is. However, the circuit itself laser scanned to the finest detail, and a beautiful representation of this incredible race circuit.
And of course, extremely difficult. You see Abrams going down through the S's and plenty of elevation changes. And looking at qualifying here, Abrams and Fulton separated by just 12 thousandths of a second. And then you look at the other class, Teddy Framheim, a ridiculous 0.5 of a second lead over Gregory Lefug for this qualifying. So it looks like Framheim putting himself back up front to begin another race.
Yeah, and that if Teddy Framheim can stay where he is, that will maintain his 100% pole position record. Absolutely extraordinary from him. As we see Gregory Lefug coming over the line, does not go quicker. And in GT4, well, 12 thousandths of a second on a track this long is just absolutely exceptional. As we see Sean Horvath using a very, very much a throwback paint scheme of one particular beverage alcohol product, which has been displayed on many types of German racing car over the year. But I think as we've come up with the rule, Devin, that you should be docked points if you're using a beverage alcohol sponsor that isn't Octavio Tequila.
That is correct. We've had some 4-drink Fridays with this group, and naturally, you should be drinking Octavio Tequila if you are having any drinks or having that on your screen or anything like that. So yes, I think that probably, do you think that a 5-second dock maybe is good enough for that?
At least, or perhaps a shot of Octavio Tequila before getting behind the sim rig.
There you go, there you go. And I love this addition here to our graphics package. On the bottom right-hand corner, you can watch BJ Fulton and check out the gears that he's running, where he's grabbing that clutch and starting to move up and down through the gears. And there is a lot of moving, a lot of shaking here at VIR until, of course, you get to that long back straightaway.
Whoa, and there you go. There's an idea of a fast race car being passed by a very fast race car. As BJ Fulton in the, well, not insignificant 425 horsepower flat 6 boxer engine machine of the Cayman GT4, but the nearly 500 horsepower lighter machine on a slightly more race prepared 911 GT3 going blasting past there. Matthew Hollander, our series organizer. But Gregory Lefougue, can he do anything? Can he finally upset the order, but taking Framheim off the top step of the grid? Can he go quicker? Oh, he improves, but still starts in second. So even though he'll start on the front row of the grid, those bragging rights, that I'm sure all these drivers are desperately trying to knock Teddy Framheim off his perch.
And that was a mighty improvement over, or actually almost exactly 0.3 of a second better lap there for Lefougue. But how about a new leader on top of the GT4s? Paul Newton went to the top of the leaderboard, and we will have a different pulse there this week. Paul Newton making the jump over Jacob Abrams.
Yeah, fantastic lap there from Paul Newton to put the well, convincing championship leader back off the pole position. He'll be very happy with that one in the Peels Oranges machine.
Yeah, you have to be satisfied whenever you're able to knock the guy who has 5 wins this season off the top step, whether it's qualifying or the race. But of course, he's only been knocked off the top step a single time this year. He's 5 for 6 so far as we enter race number 7 on the season. Drivers finishing their final qualifying laps, trying to shake up the grid just a little bit more. And now, Peter, I think that one of the most impressive parts of this track is that back straightaway. 3/4 of a mile long. That's longer than some NASCAR tracks, almost actually longer than every dirt track on iRacing, dirt oval. So when it comes to drafting there, you'd think it'd be easy, but with those hills, does it make it a little bit more difficult?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we'll see it differently for each class. For whatever reason, the Cayman GT4 718 doesn't seem to pick up as much of a draft benefit as the other cars do. But for the 911 GT3, with its enormous rear wing you see there, for whatever reason, it does give a little bit more draft effect. But once you've got that draft, when you head into the very aptly named roller coaster, it's almost like you've plucked up the courage to go and ask a really pretty girl out. But when it comes down to the crunch, you've still got to come out with the words. And the equivalent of that is going for the overtaking maneuver. And it is a brave driver to go for that overtaking maneuver into the roller coaster.
And it will be difficult. Of course, you have very long front straightaway, very long back straightaway. But then besides that, it is twists and turns and hills all across this historic track out in Virginia. Jerry Freckleton trying to complete his final lap, looking to improve off a 2-minute 04.089. And of course, you got to get back to the flag before that time completely runs out. All drivers closing out their final laps here. Only 10 drivers here in the GT3s, so that will make up your top 10 of tonight's starting order. But the GT4s, we've seen them very competitive. Maybe not towards the front when Abrams gets out to a good jump, but it's like a hornet's nest basically every single race so far. Yeah,
it's been a super competitive championship here in the Porsche Owners Club. Of course, Porsche Owners Club have an incredibly vibrant motorsport community with auto tests, track days, etc. But here in the virtual world, no less competitive.
Every single one of these drivers owns a Porsche in real life. Along with this here tonight on iRacing, we will set your starting grid from VIR. Your pole sitter tonight, Teddy Framheim, with a quick time of 1 minute 49.305 seconds. Gregory LaFougue will start in second. Connor Bloom puts it in third place. Michael Johnson in fourth. Matt Hollander will start off in fifth. Michael Bolton in sixth. Sean Horvath will start in seventh. Robert Stout in eighth. Eric Oviatt qualifies it in ninth. And Jim Slavic, your final driver in the GT4s, or GT3s, excuse me, rounds out your top 10.
The GT4s with that amazing lap, 1 minute 56.988. Paul Newton edges out the championship leader, Jacob Abrams, for pole position. On row 2 for the GT4s will be BJ Fulton and Doug Bocchioni. Row 3 for the GT4s will be Michael Ost and Michael Ryan Johnson. Look out for Michael Ryan Johnson's car, the number 3, Scout the Adventure Pup, riding on the back of that car. Alan Stad will start off from 17th, row 4 in class, alongside Jad Duncan. And in row 10, Savak Fagarian and Michael Roban.
And looking at the rest of your grid, Jake Dekvik starts off in 11th, Dominic Cicero in 22nd, Mark Rando 23rd, Ron Palmer 24th, Jerry Freckleton, the last driver to set time, followed by Patrick Flanagan and Matt Carkay. Your grid here tonight at Virginia International Raceway. Now, these drivers will go ahead and take a full pace lap of over 3 miles. They get to take one slow look around this track before going off against all the other drivers. Obviously, Peter, you see qualifying at a track where there's a lot of gear shifting, there are a lot of drafting, but when you're in race mode as opposed to a group qualifying mode, how does the mindset change?
Well, the thing is, I think that even though we have a 30-minute sprint race here, I think the patience is very important, particularly in the sim racing. Here at VIR, like I say, if you step just one little bit off the track, it's just like all of a sudden you're on ice, and that can just be the end of your chances at victory. So I think it's really going to be about keeping those mistakes at bay in the early stages and be there at the end when the points are handed out. We've seen a number of times this season where a couple of drivers have got themselves into incidents early on, and it's really hampered their chances at a win, because often you would then see them recovery drive and you'd see them setting some brilliant lap times. So I think that patience is going to be vitally, vitally important.
And of course, the closer we get to the final race of the year, the sooner we crown a champion here in the second season of Porsche Owners Club play. And of course, these guys, they're all Porsche owners. Some of them have raced against each other, whether it be wheel-to-wheel or time trials. Every single one of these drivers owns a Porsche in real life and now brings it into the virtual world to race. And even though these are very respectful, very clean drivers, they do not have a problem getting a little bit aggressive every now and again, putting on a good show.
Absolutely, yeah. You're going to see some aggressive driving here, which makes it all the more entertaining for us. You'll see Doug Bocchioni there. You'll see the car pogoing forward and backwards there. That is him trying to get a little bit of heat into the brakes and the tyres. You see weaving not allowed in this particular series. The series organisers quite hot about that. But you'll see the brake lights coming on, coming off, coming on. That's him trying to just generate a little bit of heat in those tyres, and and the brakes as well, of course. That's particularly important for the 911 GT3s because they do not have an anti-lock braking system. And wow, whoa-wee, look at that track temperature. Well, it's hot here, and we've got someone spinning off on the pace lap. Oh dear,
someone just found out how hot it is the hard way, apparently.
Oh my word, oh dear. Well, as we say, 113 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature. That's going to make it super greasy and super slippy for these drivers, so watch for that. It's hot down here in Virginia. We're not far from the town of Danville, which of course is home to Wendell Scott, the first ever African-American NASCAR winner.
A lot of history engulfed here as these drivers continue to take that pace lap, and it's starting to become a maybe a little bit more stressful with a few of these cars. I believe that we've had 2 or 3 drivers spin out under this 3.5 mile pace lap so far. So this track already taking victims tonight.
Well, yeah, and of course, most of them in the 911 GT3, but speaking of 911s, the pace car's about to pull out. We're about to go, Devin.
Ready for round number 7. Can anyone continue to catch up and make room in the points? Both series have 2 completely different stories, and we will continue riding it tonight. The Porsche Owners Club is green at Virginia International Raceway.
Go, go, go then. The GT3s open up nearly 5,000 horsepower between them, and Teddy Framheim gets a perfect run. Oh, it's carnage in the background with the GT4s. Almost instant. Oh my word. It's an absolute bowling alley in the background with the GT4s. Jacob Abrams looks like he's got through, but there are cars everywhere. We'll try and get a look at that. But Paul Newton, the pole sitter, he has got through safely, as is Jacob Abrams. So our 2 kind of front runners, their 2 front row sitters are okay from that incredible wreck.
But unfortunately, Teddy Framheim, he missed turn number 1 up in the GT3s, and he has fallen outside the top 10 overall. Framheim, after a phenomenal jump, you see how far back he is now. He has a ton of ground to make up.
Wow, I thought it was a glitch on my production feed there. I was like, is that Teddy Framheim's car? I must be honest, I had to take a double take there. So we'll get a replay of that, I'm sure, with Teddy Framheim making a mistake into the early... Oh, he's off again! He's off again! Coming in, down towards Oak Tree, coming out of South Bend, he's off. Wow, that is... it's not been a good start. And Matt Hollander's off there as well in the camouflage car. So all that means Connor Bloom in the number 95 Pink Pig, he's off at the front with Michael W. Johnson behind him and Gregory Lefouque in third.
An incredible set of circumstances as your 2 leaders going to the green flag are now currently in 3rd and 8th overall, having to fight their way through. And meanwhile, in the GT4s, Jacob Abrams, the last thing anyone in that class wanted to see, has jumped out to a pretty stout lead over Paul Newton after all that mass chaos happened there on that first corner, the first straightaway, I guess I should say. But lap 1, and the pace lap included, Peter, has eaten up plenty of victims.
Yep, VIR. Oh, it's Michael Johnson straight off. Huge lockup. Wow, and hard into the wall. That's going to be... He's going to have to really get going. And you see that here at VIR. If you get off track, there is just... Look at all that spaces. Oh, it's like a skating rink. Matt Hollander goes off again. Oh, wow. Are we going to have any GT3 runners left?
Is that Jacob Abrams? Or no, excuse me, that was the wrong car. Woo.
It's a very similarly coloured car. I have to say that caught me out too, Devin. But yeah, Jacob Abrams just ahead of Paul Newton. But you got to think Paul Newton, he will be putting everything on the line and more to try and run down the championship leader.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob Abrams found his own trouble there, because so far this has been absolutely chaotic to start off this Porsche Owners Club race. We are only 3 minutes in. Matt Hollander slid back into 8th. Framheim is 7th, and that is in class. But now we take a look for the lead. Connor Bloom and Gregory Lefouque have relatively stayed out of trouble. And now the 19's trying to reel on in Connor Bloom.
Yeah, the 2 pro race car drivers here, Connor Bloom and Gregory Lefouque, both have got experience in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, incredibly high level of motorsport. So we're going to see them go toe-to-toe here in the sim as we see, is that BJ Fulton over on the right, GT4 runner up on the right-hand side of the roller coaster. Bizarre place to go off, I have to say. This is, there's plenty of room to play here in VIR, but these drivers are using every last bit of the entire facility.
Apparently, this is quite a bit of anchorage here at VIR, and these drivers just cannot seem everyone to keep every tire down on the track. But still, your battle up front is the 2 real-life drivers. Connor Bloom, the 28-year-old out of San Diego, California, leading the way right now. I mean, of course, his racing career summary started way back in 2011. Skip Barber, MX5 Cup champion, 8 podiums in just 10 races. And since then, it's just been a phenomenal career, including stunt driving and being an instructor for multiple different clubs and vehicles as well. So we'll head on back. The GT4s fight for 8th here. Doug Bastione trying to catch up to Michael Ost. And right now, these guys a little bit more towards the mid-pack, trying to work their way up after Matt's chaos on lap 1.
Yeah, Michael Ost, who had a good finish a couple of weeks ago at Lime Rock Park, and doing a great job here, obviously being able to get through the wreckage from the opening lap. Of course, Michael Ost is he's a prosthetic doctor, so quite the craftsman, able to, if you need that sort of service, he's your man.
Well, I will find him if I need him. Thank you. Well, let's take a look back at that lap 1 chaos that led Framheim to going off track, and of course, a brutal amount of drivers in GT4 to end up losing a ton of time. So here's the start, and Peter, we're coming up towards the green, and chaos starts almost instantly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where that first where the first bowling pin drops, and then it's just chaos. We see one driver gets a bit of almost a jump start, and yes, so it's Fulton and Bocchione get together, and it's just dominoes after that. It's, well, look in any direction, there's cars going off everywhere. Michael Ryan Johnson, he's hard into over on the right hand side of shot there. Him and Scout the Adventure Pup, not the great start they want to this race. Oh dear, that's I don't think I've ever seen a more chaotic start to a race than that.
Meanwhile, up front, Gregory LeFou gets around Bloom, and Bloom goes around. A good save keeping it on the concrete, but gonna lose a ton of time.
Yeah, I wonder where Connor Bloom actually dropped behind. I wonder where LeFou got the pass done, maybe just in the previous lap perhaps, but yeah, I tell you what, Connor Bloom obviously thinking he's doing one of his stunt driving videos, because that was an amazing save to try and keep that on the track.
Did a good job staying out of the ice, that is the grass, but loses a ton of time to Gregory LeFou now, over a 3-second gap. Michael Bolin now in third. Framheim has moved his way back up into fourth, but is at an 8-second gap behind your leader, Gregory LeFou. Taking a look right now at Michael Bolton, has moved into that third position, but you still see drivers trying to make their way through the field. Teddy Framheim behind him, trying to hunt down more drivers up in front as they head up the hill.
Yeah, watch Framheim. You know he's going to be pretty angry about making that mistake early on in the race, but he's on the charge now, blowing past Michael Johnson. So there's your answer about the draft. There's obviously a little bit of a benefit if you can get a good exit out of Oak Tree. You can get a run and get it done into the roller coaster. Now Teddy Framheim goes off in hot pursuit of Michael Bolton in the Red Bull car.
Heading out of Hog Pen down the front straightaway. Framheim continuing to make his way back up through the field. Michael Bolton next on his list, about 4 seconds up in front of them. Speaking of a 4-second differential, looking back at the GT4 class, Jacob Abrams, that's the gap for him over Paul Newton. And still, with all the chaotic mess that we had, the GT4s and the GT3s intermingling so quickly here at such a large track.
Yeah, they are. We thought that maybe lap traffic wouldn't necessarily be a big issue with the wide expanses here of Virginia International Raceway, but with the absolute carnage early on, as we see Hollander going wide again, and Abrams just takes a look up the inside. This shouldn't be happening. This reminds me of the days of the Porsche RS Spider LMP2 car battling with the big Audi LMP1 diesels. Fantastic stuff from Abrams. He's, well, that's the little car that can, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you see the speeds right now. These drivers are just rolling by, going so quick into these curves. Right now, Bolton under attack from Framheim. Looks like Bolton made a mistake, lost about 4 seconds off your leader, Gregory LeFou, and now is under attack from Teddy Framheim.
Yeah, do not write Teddy Framheim off for the race win here. He's got time, and he's got time, 21 seconds, and you look at the charge he's on right now, the way he's carving through the pack, and look at that, Bolton just jumps out of the way, just throws the white flag and says, oh, go on by, I'll just tuck in behind you. Because Framheim is so fast. And Bolton's off! Oh no, he's gonna, oh god, that was
wow.
Close. As soon as you see him go off there, I thought, here goes another bowling pin, and Michael Bolton just getting maybe a little bit distracted with Framheim going past, and he's dropped back now to 5th.
Sean Horvath takes advantage and will take one position away. So here to take a look on board of Michael Bolton is Framheim. Will now move around him on the left. And then we'll see what happens here going into the next corner. It's such a high speed.
Yeah, it's just a really horrible part to get the car slowed down. Oh, wow. This is really, this car particularly is so hard to slow down. It's really, really tricky braking balance, and the rear of the car just wants to spin round and smack you over the back of the head, and it always feels like the rear is trying to overtake you, and they're into the roller coaster is really, really tricky. We saw Townsend Bell in his Lexus clashing with Patrick Long in his Porsche in the IMSA race here last time out for IMSA in 2019, but in GTLM, Porsche winning 1-2 with Tandy and Pile taking honours there.
You're currently watching a battle here for 5th in the GT4s. Dominic Cicero in the green and orange machine trying to hold off Doug Bacchignone, who's in the neon green machine directly behind him. These Porsches, as long as they are still put together, bumpers aren't falling off, you can still fight and be competitive. Overshooting the corner here, though, and into the grass, and so is the driver behind him. Cicero and Bacchignone both go off track.
I think there's got to have some magnetic fenders on these cars, because everyone almost went off in sympathy there. A bit of target fixation from Bocchione there. You're obviously a really big fan of Tag Heuer watches. He just thought, I'll just follow him in there and have a look at that new livery he's got there. So let's have a look. Bocchione coming from a long way back, hard on the brakes. He's struggling to get it slowed down, and they get a little nudge there in the grass. And you just look at that. It looks like you would have more grip on a skating rink, I think.
Two of the easiest spots Michael Ost has ever taken, now moving into the top 5 in GT4.
Yep, he won't be complaining about that. And what did we? I almost feel ever so slightly smug right now. I feel like the smug school teacher saying that it's all about patience. Well, there's one or two drivers that are maybe they're certainly not short in ambition, but maybe perhaps short in patience.
And it looks like Teddy Framheim has moved into the pits, and now we also have more trouble. Sean Horvath spins around from inside the top 5. Framheim is on pit road right now and has fallen back outside the top 5.
Oh, Framheim going in and he's up on the jacks, which means he's taking tyres, which is quite unusual, with just on half-day race distance. So wonder what's happened to Teddy Framheim. It doesn't look like he's got much damage, but he's maybe taken his fast repair.
And the last thing you need in a 30-minute race is to have to go inside the pits. Meanwhile, Gregory LeFou continues to lead this race out in front of Connor Bloom, a gap now of almost 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see now that Connor Bloom's got back going again. Interesting to see what the lap time comparison is between him and LeFou. Of course, Connor Bloom running the beautiful Pink Pig throwback paint scheme, one of the most famous paint schemes in the Porsche heritage. Of course, the paint scheme used in Porsche's Le Mans win in the GTE category with Florence Vantor, Kevin Estra and Michael Christensen back in 2018. So let's look at that. Well, looks like LeFou is just pulling away.
These two drivers continually two of the classes of the field when it comes to GT3, trying to navigate lap traffic. Here is Connor Bloom. Has cut the deficit down a little bit to under 3 seconds, and it looks like a slow car here. Cisnero looks a little bit off pace, and trouble maybe continuing as he has definitely lost ground to Bacchignone.
Yeah, Cicero going wide there at left hook. Going into NASCAR, my apologies. And having another spin again at left hook. So yeah, it's certainly been an eventful race for him, but it's a race of attrition here. That's one way to put it, as our drivers really, if you can keep it on the black stuff, you're going to be in for a good result here.
That's the way it looks, because plenty of drivers have not been able to do just that. We are now 14 minutes in, 16 minutes to go, this 30-minute race at Virginia International Raceway. You take a look here at the GT4s. Michael Robon up 6 spots inside the top 5 now. Even Cicero has moved up 5 spots himself, and troubles for BJ Fulton. Double-digit loss right now.
Yeah, not good for BJ Fulton at all. But it looks like Connor Bloom, he can see Lefug ahead of him, and he is hard in hot pursuit, trying to reel in Lefug in that yellow and red machine. Down now to 2.1 seconds on our timing screens, but there's a GT4 car, that Fath machine. Oh, was able to stay where he was, thankfully. Didn't manage to impede Connor Bloom there as they head through Hog Pen. And Connor Bloom, he is really on a tear, desperate to make up for lost time.
Coming through the front straightaway, but this is all you really need. All you need is to be able to see the guy in front of you. That usually gives just enough motivation to get you through, as they will now head into the horseshoe in turns 1 and 2, and then into NASCAR Bend. Where are the best spots to make up a little bit of room, maybe some passes, because it is just so narrow in a lot of places here at VIR.
It is. I think really it depends on your proximity to the car in front, but sometimes if you're really quite cheeky, you can stuff it down the inside here at left hook, which is a brave move to make, but sometimes you see it. And then really you can also try a little bit of a block pass going into Oak Tree, but again that compromises your exit going out onto the back straight. So mainly you see the majority of moves made going into the roller coaster, but sometimes it's not necessarily about looking for that overtaking, that do or die overtaking opportunity. A lot of the time actually it's just being there, being visible in your opponent's mirrors and pressuring them into a mistake, because even the tiniest little misstep is severely punished here at VIR.
Taking a look of a replay, Jake Dekovic in the 423 machine. Actually, we'll go back live here, see as he's trying to hunt down a few more spots. Currently in 8th, got by Doug Boxignone.
Big traffic here for Lefug. This is not a good point to come across GT4 traffic. Has he got it done? Oh, just about there. Well done from Gregory Lefug. And Connor Bloom's dropped right back, nearly 6 seconds behind. What has happened to the man in the pink pig?
Lost a number of seconds.
Oh, Oak Tree. Oh, that is such an important corner as we see him coming around South Bend, named after South Bend of the local river. And that's such a classic mistake there. But again, another fantastic oversteer moment that Connor Bloom keeps out the wall. But that's put him all that hard work he's going to have to do all over again.
Turn that Porsche into a drift machine in the grass there. And like you mentioned earlier, it's probably easier to walk on an ice rink than it is to be driving on this grass here at VIR. And now a 6-second deficit for him as he continues to try to catch up to Gregory Lefug. Meanwhile, back in GT4, Alan Stad in 3rd, Michael Robon trying to make chase in 4th right now. It's about a 1-second gap.
I know, we should get the black flag out here, Devin, because the Michael Roban, if I'm not mistaken, that is a beverage alcohol manufacturer that is not Octavio Tequila. So get that man in for a drive-through penalty. Yeah, I'm sure you'll all recognize the paint scheme of that particular vermouth product. That's a black flag from me.
And not to mention, that's just the paint scheme that you see on a number of different cars of many different series, whether it be oval, road, whatever. So too popular, too overdone, plus not Octavio Tequila. So very disappointed there. I agree.
Correct. Somebody get on the radio and tell him he's been given a drive-through for not supporting our series sponsor, Octavio Tequila.
Well, nonetheless, he'll continue to try to make a little bit of room. No one's making room on Gregory Lefug right now, running the fastest lap of the race, and we are nearly 20 minutes into this event.
Yeah, it's been fast, certainly action-packed. We've not been short of things to talk about, have we, Devin?
Not at all, and still action heating up. Go back to P6 in GT3. Eric Oviatt, trying to make haste right now. Hollander on the rear bumper.
Yeah, Matthew Hollander has certainly had a very, very excitable race in his very distinctive grey-green camouflage machine there. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but I'm almost proud of that. And Matt Hollander hard on the brakes, putting pressure on Eric Oviatt. This is a very similar livery to what Matt uses on his race car in the real world. You see, I hope his race car in the real world doesn't have that bodywork damage, because that would be expensive to replace.
Oviatt, a private driving coach, ran his first POC event the week of his 16th birthday and has been a member ever since for now 18 years, along with being a board member with the club. Right now, trying to continue moving up through the field and holding off Matt Hollander to try to get a top 5 here at VIR.
Yep, he's making that car nice and wide as they go past. Oh, and Matt Hollander, wow! Oh, that's a... He's turning ahead the front of his 911 into a JCB excavator there, just flipping him over there. Wow. Whew. Tell you what, we've called Matthew Hollander the Bernie Eccleston of Porsche Owners Club Sim Racing. Well, given that he's the dictator, maybe he'll get away with that one.
The Scottsdale guy. Yeah, a little bit of contact there, just a little bit too hot, and when you're so close on the bumpers and it's so narrow, it's tough to know people's braking points, especially once you're 20 minutes into an event.
Yep, it certainly did, and you're not going to know their braking point when they're on the roof anyway, so Eric Oviatt, well, he has certainly felt the wrath of the Hollander there, so Matthew Hollander up to 5th place in what has been one of the most eventful motor races I think I've ever seen in my life, and incredible entertainment. I tell you what, you think Mario Kart races are full of action? Well, this is Mario Kart eat your heart out here.
Well, the number one thing that your leaders in both classes don't want to see is much more action. Now a 10-second advantage for Gregory LaFougue over Connor Bloom in the GT3 lead, and Jacob Abrams is absolutely gone right now. A 12.5-second lead over Paul Newton as you watch him in the red and white Porsche GT4 just rolling around.
Yes, he's been absolutely fantastic throughout the series, really, and you know, it's easy for us to say in the commentary box, but it cannot be stressed enough how difficult it is to run consistent laps at the speed he's doing over and over and over again, particularly at VIR, which is, all the drivers love it, everyone loves VIR, but it is a real challenge. It is, and if you just make the tiniest mistake, you will be punished. So yeah, Jacob Abrams has been absolutely fantastic. And also, Greg, you've got to take your hat off to Gregory LaFougue in the number 19 car. That car he's driving, he's in the GT3 car. That is an animal, that car. Really tricky to drive. Actually, I was speaking to a friend of mine, Kat Impey, who's driven this car in the real world and in the sim. And she actually says that in the real world, it's a pretty friendly car to drive. But in the sim, it's very, very tricky.
And that's one of those things, knowing how to set up one of these Porsches can make a huge difference, especially on long run. And I just have to assume that that's what Gregory LaFougue and Jacob Abrams try to do, is have a car that's ready towards the end to not just be an absolute monster.
Something has happened to Alan Stad there. Very, very strange. He's running slowly. Let's see what happens. So that's not Jacob Abrams, a very similar painting. Whoa, dear me, gets onto the grass. And you've just almost got to be patient there as well. Try and not rush back onto the circuit, because that's when you end up spinning around. But Alan Stad trying to rally across that car back onto the tarmac. And there's Michael Ost coming to pinch his position from him. Michael Ost, he's doing a good job. He's up in 4th place right now. But it's certainly a battle to the end here in the GT4 category. Just got to get your car over the line.
And we haven't talked about him much tonight. I don't know if he was one of the victims in that first lap crash for the GT4s, but Savak Bagarian currently in 6th place in the GT4s. And another name that we need to throw out there, I don't think we said it once tonight, but Robert Stout, currently 4th overall right now.
Yeah, great stuff. And you always know if you're a driver and you don't get much time on the broadcast, you know you've done a good job, because you've kept the car clean and tidy. And that looks like what Robert Stout's done in that very striking looking Rockstar energy drink machine. I tell you what would go well with that, Octavia Tequila.
A little bit of Octavio and Rockstar. I don't even know if they would appreciate that or not. I don't know if I even want to test that. Although more news, it looks like Eric Oviatt has pulled it into the pits as well. Another up-front driver in GT3 is now on pit road. I believe he towed, actually, so that's going to be a long wait for him.
Well, Oviatt, he had been on his roof, of course, getting ploughed out of the way by Matt Hollander. A little bit of a lock up there, gets into roller coaster. What's going to happen here? Gets on the gas, heading down to Hogpen, puts one wheel on the grass. No, gets... Oh, I tell you what, Devin, what do you think? Do you think this exceedingly high track temperature is making that braking grip an issue?
I think not only the braking grip, but I think that some drivers, when they normally get back on the accelerator, I'm wondering if the tires might even be spinning coming off in the middle of those S's when they try to reapply the gas there, and it's just not what they're expecting, because I don't think those rear tires are really grabbing like they're expecting at 114 degrees track temperature.
Yeah, that's absolutely extraordinary. Of course, the GT World Challenge America paddock came to VIR a few weeks ago for their season opener with some really good racing, but the temperatures were incredibly high, and yeah, that was certainly causing grip issues for them as well on their Pirelli tires, and I'm sure the Michelin tires on these Porsches are no different.
Michael Bolton, your third place driver right now in GT3, trying to work some lap traffic, and once again, Peter, patience is the name of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the trick is in multi-class sports car racing is that when you've got that traffic, that patience is just so important, because you've got to try and tell yourself and remind yourself that you're not the only driver who's going to have lap traffic. You've got to just not take silly risks and make your way by. And it's often when drivers try to push it too hard and they end up losing a good result because of it. So you got to remember, you're not the only guy that the rain is falling on at that point, shall we say.
And I think to that point, Matt Hollander might have made contact with a slower GT4 car, and that's actually allowed Teddy Framheim to close in a little bit, not a ton, but Framheim now in 6th, trying to find his way back into the top 5, and Hollander looks like got into Dekovic. All I saw was both of them out in the grass, and the last thing you want to do is let Framheim see the rear end of your car, regardless if it's miniature or not.
Yeah, I tell you what, when you see that camouflage... Oh, no, they both went off synchronized. Synchronized drifting there. Well, I'll tell you what, put that in the Porsche catalogue. A 911 and a Cayman drifting in perfect harmony there. Get that in the marketing brochure.
You follow on board. And listen to him try to save that car. Does a great job keeping the wheels pointed forward.
That was impressive to avoid the contact there. So, yeah, well, Matt Hollander, after all this, he's still in the lead lap, in 5th position, ahead of championship leader Teddy Framheim. I mean, this is... I actually am lost for words, I'll be honest. That is not often I say that.
Currently in 5th, taking a look overall at the GT3s as we come down to the 2.5-minute mark. Lafougue leads over 9 seconds on Connor Bloom. But then it is another 18 seconds to Michael Bolton, another 18 seconds to Robert Stout, and Hollander rounding out your top 5 right now. A huge gap of differentials in the GT3s, and still a 16-second gap now for Jacob Abrams over Paul Newton, looking for win number 6 out of 7 here in Season 2.
Yep, as you see, Gregory Lafougue able to get around Paul Newton safely. And yeah, Lafougue just in that groove. You can just tell the body language of that car. He's comfortable. He's a pro racing driver, and they know when they just get in the groove, when it's their day, they could drive all day long at this pace. And what a lovely zone that must be likely to be in. White flag then. That means the last lap. So Gregory Lafougue has just got one more circulation of this beautiful VIR circuit. Of course, it's now we're hearing that it's going to be close for the checkered flag.
Yeah, these drivers right now running about a minute 53 per lap. There's a minute 23 until this session will throw the checkered flag. Whether or not Lafougue makes it or not, we will see. Fastest car on track right now is Teddy Framheim by about 3 seconds, but too little, too late. Gregory Lafougue with no one around him looking to pick up another win.
Yeah, and it's all been about Teddy Framheim. Well, he's been clearly the guy with the absolute best outright pace in every single race, as we see. Oh, one of the I just had a heart skip to beat there as Flanagan going off there in the 27 GT4 car there, and I was just really worried about him coming back into the path of our GT3 leader Gregory Lafougue, but he's got through there safe. So Oh, danger at every corner here, but Gregory Lefougue should have clean air now to take it to the flag.
And we will see as he goes down the back straightaway if he has enough time to let this checkered flag fly. Only 25 seconds remaining in the session, and it looks like it will be the checkered flag when he comes around this time.
Yep, so he comes through Hog Plain, looking absolutely inch perfect here in this beautiful, striking yellow and red machine. Comes out the final turn, and he will be your winner then in the Porsche Owners Club.
The leader in wins in the Porsche 911s. It'll be win number 4 on the season, an average start of first, and his average start finish is nearly first. Or no, they're actually going to let it go another lap. I believe that was about a 3-second difference there. So it was tight, but now one more lap to go here, and you just got to make sure there's no chaos or calamity that happens this time around too.
Oh my, I need an Octavia Tequila to calm my nerves here, Devin. I have to be honest, and my apologies there, viewers. I led us astray there. I got confused by our graphic. So the number 19, Gregory Lefougue, will have to do one more lap of the VIR Raceway. And, well, to be honest, there's no hardship in that, driving one of these incredible machines around this incredible racetrack. Speaking of incredible, this man, well, I've run out of superlatives for this man's skill behind the wheel. Jacob Abrams has been absolutely inch perfect all race long.
A 21-second lead right now. Faster than, I think, 1 or 2 of the GT3s. And once again, he will take home an overall top 10, currently 8th overall, with that 22.5-second lead now over Paul Newton for GT4.
Yeah, that's a huge gap over. Remember, it's only 30 minutes of racing and a 23-second gap. That is just dominant as well. And when you're that far ahead, to maintain the concentration, absolutely incredible. As we see Gregory Lefougue coming through to end up his final lap also.
Coming into the hog pen here. Make it win number 4 on the season. Continuing to try to buff out a little bit of a points lead, wanting to win Season 2 of the Porsche Owners Club. Gregory Lefougue will take home the win here at Virginia International Raceway. Bloom coming in not too far behind, ticked off a few seconds in those final few laps, but still brings it home in second place, and it is about 25 seconds further back as we have third place Michael Bolton trying to bring home a podium spot.
Yeah, Michael Bolton in the UB40 inspired Red Bull machine. Over the line he comes. Good podium finish. And for Teddy Framheim, another race, a case of what might have been. He's got an incredible one-lap pace, 100% pole position record, but it's just not converted enough. And you wonder, Devin, will that spoil his championship chances?
And this right here is a battle for fourth. Hollander in the camo in the 477 in fourth. Robert Stout trying to take it from him. Moves way to the right. Hollander with an issue, it looked like. Meanwhile, Abrams looking to take away his win. Still has about a third of a lap to go here for Jacob Abrams to claim another GT4 victory.
Yep.
He is the last car on track, so he was the first car by before that went checkered. So a victory lap here for Jacob Abrams.
Yeah, he can go and do some donuts on the grass if he wanted to. But still, do you know what? He's still pushing 100%. You can just tell the body language of this car. He's really, really going for it still. You got to say, Jacob Abrams, is someone get on the radio to him and tell him to break out of this funk because you just feel like he could be going around all day at this speed.
Well, quite literally nothing to lose as he comes off the final corner, down the front straightaway. 7 races, 6 wins. Jacob Abrams dominating right now in GT4. Well, that will do it for your field coming around here at Virginia International Raceway. We will take a break. We'll catch up with your podium finishers and, of course, take you through our entire field here for the Porsche Owners Club. Well, if you came away with no bumps and bruises, you probably finished well here at Virginia International Raceway. A first lap wreck takes out a lot of the GT4s and chaos for even the GT3 competitors. We look through your field. Gregory LaFougue takes home another victory here. This one coming at VIR. Connor Bloom brings it home in second. Michael Bolton in third. Matt Hollander fourth. Robert Stout brings home a top 5 tonight. Teddy Framheim able to work his way back up to 6th after early trouble for him. Jim Slavic ends up in 7th. And your first GT4 competitor, Jacob Abrams, brings it home in 8th. Paul Newton in 9th. And your final podium spot for the GT4s is Michael Robin.
Rounding out the rest of our finishers, 11th overall was Alan Stad with Michael Ost in 12th. Sean Horvath in one of the lighter runners of the GT3s in 13th. Savak Fagarian was 14th with Dominic Cicero in 15th. Doug Bocchioni was 16th with Jake Dekovic in 17th. Michael Ryan Johnson in 18th, unfortunately getting caught up in that early wreck. 19th was Patrick Flanagan and 20th, Jad Duncan.
And looking through the rest of your field, Michael W. Johnson brings it home 24th. Jerry Freckleton in 22nd. Mark Rondeau, 23rd. Eric Oviatt falls all the way back to 24th. BJ Fulton, tough day in 25th. Ron Palmer, 26th. Mehet Parkai comes home in 27th. Your field here for the Porsche Owners Club at Virginia International Raceway. Well, let's take a talk with your overall winner tonight. Gregory LaFougue brings it home, 4th win on the season. And probably what impressed me the most was just the consistency of fast laps at a track that is so inconsistent. What was it like going through a whole 30 minutes and being able to go through all the twists and all the hills just consistently? We'll give Greg a second here, putting his mic on.
How's
There
it going,
we go.
Guys?
Probably not as good as you, bringing home another win here tonight, but consistency was key. How do you do that here?
Well, actually, the lap times may have been consistent, but I made consistently mistake around the lap, and that kind of equal to the same lap time. But I definitely wasn't consistent. The track conditions were super hot. I think it caught out a lot of people. I was on the conservative side to start with, and was really hard to get in a rhythm. Just backed it out a little bit and tried to stay on track really.
And yeah, you mentioned those brutal track conditions. Moving ahead to Road Atlanta, next race here in 2 weeks. How do you change your approach every week? Obviously, you're running up front when we go to every race, but is there something in your mindset when you look at a certain track and you say, okay, here's how I change how I attack this track?
Well, you just have to adapt to the conditions, really. The hotter the track is and the narrower the window of operation of the tire. So basically, that means that when you have a nice cool track, you can really attack the course and really take a little bit more risk, because you know that the tire is probably going to recover a little bit quicker. But when it's hot like this, you just have to back it down, make sure that you're getting your rotation before the apex, and then get a good exit. That's really the key.
Well, another win. You extend your lead in a close championship battle. Who do you have to thank for taking it home top step of the podium tonight?
Well, Matt Hollander, obviously, for organizing this series, and I want to give a shout out to my team, Cameron Racing. We just raced at Sonoma last weekend, and it was actually great practice for this race because the track conditions were brutal, and the tire wear was very very high. So it was a good preparation for this race too.
Well, congrats on the victory, win number 3 on the season, now taking the points lead here in GT3. Congrats, Gregory.
Thank you.
Now we'll hand it on over. Jacob Abrams is caught up with Peter.
Jacob Abrams, this is getting quite the habit, us talking after races. What an incredible drive. Tell us about that exhibition you put on here at VIR today.
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I knew that this track is, very rewarding of consistency. The grass will come out and grab a tire and pull you in, and next thing you know, you'll be a quarter mile off the track. So just keeping it on the black stuff was sort of the name of the game, and I knew if I could do that every single lap, I shouldn't really have any reason to lose any major time, make any major mistakes, and I would be doing okay. And then also avoiding other traffic in other classes and lap traffic. I've seen some gnarly crashes in other races with multi-class racing here, so taking it easy around other cars was another thing on my mind.
Yeah, you certainly did a good job with that. Now, I feel we have to ask. Now, we talk about your project car that's going on, the track day car. How's that coming along? Is it taking shape, ready to get out on track?
Oh yeah, much better now. I actually had it out with the POC Autocross over the weekend on Sunday. We got it back running in time Saturday evening after 3 weeks of trying to fix it. And it is, finally back in good shape, and soon we'll be ready to toss the new turbo in the thing.
Fantastic. Well, looking forward to hearing about that, because I suspect we'll be talking again if we put another performance like that in. Before we let you go here on GSRC, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to on our broadcast?
Yeah, of course, everyone at the POC as usual, and Matt and Ron for putting this on, and Works 2 Motorsport, and yeah, of course, you guys at Global SimRacing Channel.
Well, thank you very much, Jacob. Thank you very much indeed. Go and enjoy the victory. Go and have an Octavio tequila to celebrate.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
Well, now let's go ahead and chat with our second place finisher in GT4. Paul Newton now joins us, and probably one of the most brutal aspects of the race tonight was just the hot track temperature. Bit a lot of drivers. How did the track treat you here tonight?
Yeah, it was hot. We've been having hot tracks last few weeks. It makes it really good for me. I like the slipperier conditions, but I really just played it safe today. I knew it was going to be a really hard race to get through, and I picked a really conservative setup. And once Jacob got past me and I saw that pushing as hard as I could, I wasn't going to catch him, that was kind of it. I kind of settled for second at that point.
Well, you're able to qualify on pole for the GT4s, which was very impressive. Looking forward to the rest of this year, you got Road Atlanta, Sonoma, and WeatherTech coming up next. What has been the key to qualifying up front so then, well, you're not in any chaos like we might have saw there on the front straightaway here tonight?
Just practice. I'm more of a hot lapper than a racer anyway, so that really suits me. I can turn it on for one lap at a time, but I can't keep it so I can't keep it so good as Jacob over the long haul.
We'll bring it home in second, still second in points in the 718s. Who do you have to thank for this performance here? Once again, back on the podium.
Thank Peel's California Mandarins and Fowler Packing, and I want to thank GSRC for broadcasting these great races, and I want to thank the Porsche Owners Club for putting on such great races. Thanks, guys.
Hey, well, we will see you here in 2 weeks. Congrats on the finish. Well, now Peter will chat with Michael Bolton. He finished third tonight in GT3.
Michael Bolton, welcome to the GSRC commentary box. Congratulations on a fantastic podium. Tell us about your race today at VIR.
Thanks for having me, guys. Well, yeah, I've done a couple sessions of practice throughout the last 2 weeks, but I knew it was all going to come down to this race and keeping it on the track. And I had one moment at turn 14 after letting Teddy by, but it was able to recover and just kind of keep it on the track. And the last couple laps, I knew I was going to run out of gas, so I think I started to lift and coast a lot and knew that I had around a 10-second gap to Hollander behind me. So just tried to balance the gap between Matt and also crossing the finish line. So I was able to make it with barely any gas in the tank.
Oh, that is a horrible feeling when that fuel light comes on. Whether it's on the street or in the sim, it's no less horrible. Now, as a POC member, have you got the opportunity to get out on track in the next little while?
Yeah, actually, Sunday, which was yesterday, we were able to get out there in an autocross in Long Beach area. It was beautiful. We had the ocean scenery, the nice autocross track, and got to see a lot of the POC boys and have a good race day. And it was nice getting on track after all this COVID stuff. So that was a very needed day out in the sun.
You're making me very jealous as I sit here in the rain in Scotland. But it sounds idyllic. Before we let you go and go off and enjoy your podium, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here on GSRC?
Definitely want to give you guys a shout out. Thank you guys for doing all that you do. I really enjoy watching the races back and hearing all your hilarious and great commentary. So I appreciate you guys. Also to the POC, to Matt Hollander for putting this on, and lastly, thanking my family for all the support that they give me. So yeah.
Oh, thank you very much for the kind words, Michael, and hopefully we'll speak to you again up here in the commentary box very soon.
That sounds good. Take care, guys.
Well, before we end the night, we will talk to Michael Robon. How about this? Starting 20th overall and brings it home top 10 overall. But I want to know your vantage point, Michael. What did you see on that front straightaway crash?
Oh, man. Well, I think the old saying, it's better to be lucky than good, definitely applied for me in this race. For me, I think I got lucky starting a little further back on the grid than I normally do. It gave me a little more time to anticipate what was going on in front of me. And it was really just a pile up. And, there was an opening down the middle that I was fortunate enough to go through. And, the rest of the race just kind of unfolded by itself after that. There wasn't really much to do other than steer it home once Alan went off at about the 20-minute mark. I was having fun battling him, and I was thinking I was going to have to find a way around him to get to the podium. But, it was just one of those races where everything was kind of made easy for me. So I'll take it. I've had my share of bad luck, and I'll take a good luck race. It's nice to have one of these every once in a while.
Yeah, some good luck brings you up here on the podium, but we got to ask, we talked about it in the broadcast. I love your paint scheme. It's a classic. You see it all over iRacing on a ton of different cars.
Yep.
But what will it take to get Octavio Tequila on there instead?
I'm happy to fly the flag. We can have a conversation about it. It's started following the Williams team and some of the other and the teams that made me definitely want to thank Octavio and all the sponsors at Porsche Owners Club and Matt Hollander for making all this happen for us. I have so much fun watching the broadcast after the race, and thanks for
Thanks, Michael.
Cheers, guys.
Well, a lot of fun tonight at VI.
Making jokes out of any particular situation, that's always fun. And Porsche, it's just a joy to join you in the booth and call the racing, and especially in amazing venues like Laguna Seca and Watkins Glen, and here at VIR in particular. It's just a joy to get up in the middle of the night here in Scotland to commentate on this fantastic series.
Well, I'm glad you're able to find a little bit of joy in waking up that early, Peter. But a big thank you here, and a congrats actually to Michael Robin even further. Your GSRC hard charger tonight, going from 20th to 10th overall. Congrats to Michael Robin, our GSRC hard charger. And of course, a big thank you to the sponsors who make this happen. Sunset Mortgage, Octavio Tequila, and Century Financial Consultants. And of course, the organizer of the Porsche Owners Club and everyone who makes it happen behind the scenes. And if you're interested in advertising with GSRC, like for a hard charger award potentially, our channel's 1 million monthly global impressions are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description below on YouTube or visit globalsimracingchannel.com/advertising. And of course, a big thank you to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for all of our broadcasts. They're all listed here on your screen. And of course, another additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And of course, a great thank you to the team today, Peter, and of course, producer Joe Peak behind the scenes. If you would like to learn more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can not only see them on your screen, but you can find them at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And if you would like to support the channel, go and check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. The link is in the description below. And don't forget, head on over to YouTube and go ahead, hit that big red subscribe button so you never miss a moment right here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Our next race for the Porsche Owners Club Sim Racing League, August 24th, 2 Mondays from now, as this series will take on Road Atlanta. We also have plenty more upcoming races for other series listed on your screen. Be sure to mark those down on your calendar if you think one might be a little bit fun to watch. Well, guys, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you at the track.